Hi everyone, and welcome to Stamp with Angela. I'm Angela Palmer and I'm excited to be here with you today to share a couple of stamping techniques with you and to also show you the Notes of Spring stamp set. So I am live here today, so I am in person, not pre-recorded. So last week you still got the live, but it was recorded ahead of time because I wasn't in New Zealand. I was overseas in Sydney at On Stage, the demonstrator event, which was lots of fun, and I'll share a little bit more about that later. But now I'm back here in Auckland, back live to show you today's cards and some techniques and things. So thank you for joining me. Please let me know you're here, where you're watching from, and if you're watching this in the recording later on as well, please comment and let me know that you're here watching too. All right. So let's get started. So I'm going to show you the stamp set and the techniques we're going to do today. Got two cards to do with you. One's quite simple and then one's a little bit stepped up. And then I'll show you a little bit about On Stage as well. So exciting things. So let's take a look. Okay, so this is the stamp set that I will be using today. It's called the Notes of Spring, and you will see the lovely images in this. We've got some animals. We've got a deer, geese, and then a rabbit, and then some other images that we can put in backgrounds and things as well. So with this particular stamp set, I'm able to show you two different techniques. One of them is two-step stamping. So that means that to complete the image, we are using kind of two steps of stamping. So for example, we've got the outline of the deer, and then we're going to color it in with the second stamp. Sometimes it might be a flower, like a flyer outline, and then stamping inside the flower, or it might be doing the flower in one color and a stem in another. So it involves a couple of steps, two steps to finish the image, but it's a great way that you can use different colors when you're doing two-step stamping. Now the other technique I'm going to show you is second generation stamping, which I often call stamping off, and that I'll show you like with the deer, so you can get two colors basically from one ink pad. So that's what I'm going to be going through today. All right, so thank you for joining me. Let me know you're here. Love to know who's joining today. And like I said, if you're watching the recording, you can also let me know in the recording that you're here too. All right, so what I'm going to do is just show you the technique involving these stamps. Then we are going to make a couple of cards with them as well. Okay, so I am going to bring in my paper piercing mat just because it's a nice firmer surface to work on. And let's go through the different images. So we've got this deer here. So let me find the two stamps. So we've got this one, which is the colored in image, and then the outline one is this here. Okay, so I don't know if you can see more of an outline, and then that's the solid one. So I'm going to use pecan pie, and I'm going to stamp it up. Maybe we'll just put it here so I'm not reaching across the camera, like so. So that is our outline. Then to do our two-step stamping, we are going to ink this one up. Now I want it lighter, so I'm going to stamp off like so, taking some of the color away. And this is our second generation. So now we're using what's left on the ink pad to color our deer. And that way we get a lighter color. Of course, you could use two different ink pads, but if you don't have them, this is how you get that two-toned kind of look, which is really effective. We're also going to do that same technique for the rabbit. So we've got an outline one and then a solid, but slightly kind of distressed look for the rabbit. And for that one, I'm going to use grey granite. So again, I'm going to do my outline stamp first, and then I'm going to stamp off. and that gives a lighter grey, which is our second generation stamping. So that way we can see the image. Let me just show you what would happen if I didn't stamp off. So if we go with the dark and we go over with the same colour, it's okay, but it's a very dark rabbit. Okay, so by doing it this way, you get that difference. So let me just show you again. So this is the same ink twice. This is the outline is darker, and then I have stamped off second generation and then stamped the ink that's left to give a lighter image. Now with my geese, I'm going to use two colors. So this is another advantage with two-step stamping, is you can use different colors. So I'm going to use the pecan pie for the outline, like so. And then I'm going to bring in Darling Duckling. And I'm going to stamp that. Now you could stamp this off, but it's not too dark anyway, and it is a contrast. So I'm just going to do full strength. And if it doesn't quite line up, you can always just adjust it and go again. There we go. Now for this, I want the beak to be orange. So I've got some pumpkin pie here. I'm just going to get a tiny bit of ink out of the lid. Now you might have noticed this ink pad is quite different from the other. This is what they had years and years ago when I first started. And I obviously never replaced this color. It's not a color I use a lot of, so that would be why. Then we've got the one like the Darling Duckling, and we are going to be changing the ink pads to magnetic ones, which will make life much easier to open them. I'm just going to put a little bit of orange on the feet as well. There we go. All right, so there is our duck. Now, if you felt, there was a little bit of ink showing and you didn't want that, you can just clean this is a blender brush, so you can use any ink, pick it up from the ink pad. I don't want too much, and then I could just color it in a little bit if I feel I didn't quite stamp it right. So this is great for sort of adding a bit more color or fixing up those mistakes. And they're kind of like the Stampin' Right markers, but basically they're just clear, and you can pick up whichever color you like. So what I usually do is you squeeze the ink pad, get some ink here, and then pick it up. But you don't want it too dark, so that's why I'm sort of trying it over there first and then coming in. And then when you're finished, just keep doing that till it's clear, and then you can use another color. It might stain a bit, but as long as it's clear, it's fine. So there's a special liquid in here that works well with the ink, so you can color with it. So these are blender pens, and they come in a pack of 3. So great for touching up little things. All right, so those are our 3 little images. Our two-step stamping and second generation for these ones. And then for our geese here, we have got I've stamped in a different color, and then if you need to, you can touch up with this. So I'm going to just punch those out, and hopefully my spacing is okay. So I'm just using the 1 3/4 punch. I probably won't do the deer. I'm not sure if it's going to fit, but we'll just see. Like so. I think it might. You might cut a little bit off. So I'm not going to. I'd use a bigger punch for that one. Maybe something like this. Yeah, that fits fine. That is the 2 3/8. Okay. So that's the technique of two-step stamping, and then using blender pens. So now we want to make a card using these images and things. So my first card, I'm going to use punches, but I'm going to keep the stamping fairly basic. So what I'm going to use is, to create my background, I'm going to use these kind of grasses. Now when I first did it, because I had a pecan pie base, I stamped it in pecan pie like this. And then I thought, do I really want brown? Shouldn't it be slightly more greenish if it's kind of grasses? So old olive and granny apple green are quite dark. So I thought, oh, maybe soft seafoam might be quite nice. Just sort of a very subtle kind of background color. So I went with this. And now I was thinking I should stamp the sentiment first. So I have remembered, made 2 of these cards and forgot to stamp the sentiment first. So we're going to do that. We'll try and see what this looks like. So in that set, you've got a few sentiments as well as the cool images. We've got an especially for you, a little note of thanks and happiest birthday wishes. So I'm going to stamp happiest of birthday wishes in that bottom corner using my pecan pie. And hopefully get it straight. And then we're going to put, that's pretty good. Then, so the only thing with doing that is I can't add some ribbon or anything behind it, but just, you know, to try and make it a little bit different. So where is my soft sea foam? So bearing in mind, I'll have an image around there. I'll actually use one of the smaller ones, I think, because I need a punch to go around it. So let's say we'll do the duck this time because I've already done sea foam with the rabbit. Okay, so let's put that there and we're going to stamp our bigger one first, kind of stagger it around the background. So like one here, different heights, maybe kind of off the page, over here, here, maybe one down here as well. And then there's also a little grass so I can kind of fill in the spaces. So come in with the little one, maybe up here, over the side. Don't want too many, but I'm kind of going overboard here. All right, just to give a bit of background. Now what I'm going to do is I will have a pecan pie base, but I'm going to have a sea foam border around it, like so. Now, when I did the first card, I used the green, mainly because I had green on another one with grass, but I haven't on this. So I have punched the circle basically from this piece. I went in here and punched it out because then it's hidden. But if I'll do that so you can see. If I did this color, I felt it was too much of the same. So we can put that behind. If I did, I mean, you can tell me what you think. That. I have just realized I've cut that in the 3/4 size punch and I meant to do it in the 2-inch punch. That's why it's such, I don't want such a big gap. So that was clever. I'm going to have to quickly grab the 2-inch punch because I have brought the wrong one in. So give me 1 second and I will reach over and grab that punch. All right, sorry, I am back. So we might just have to stamp our duck again so we have the right size. But that's okay, you can see that technique done again. I was thinking it looked very small. So let's get our scrap piece and we'll stamp our duck again and you can see the process. So we need our pecan pie for the background and I've put my other punch on top of it. Not duck, geese. All right. So let's stamp that there. Then we're going to come in with our yellow. So we're using a different color with this 2-step stamping. So that's one advantage of 2-step stamping. We can have different colors. And then we are going to use our blender pen and color the beak. Make it a bit oranger. There we go. Oh, feet. Whoops, I've gone over a bit, but that's okay. All right, so let's try a bigger punch this time. That will work better. No, not that one. It's here, 2-inch. Hopefully I haven't gone too close to the edge. Oh, sorry, that's very loud. Okay, then we'll try it with that. Okay, that looks better. So what do you think? Should I keep it in the soft sea foam, or should I change it up and use the pecan pie like I did in that one? Maybe we'll try it like this and see how it goes. Now, I can't put ribbon behind my sentiment because I've stamped straight on it, but what I could do is put some behind here. So we could do some linen thread, or we could do some gold ribbon. So how about I stick the duck down and then we can see what we'd like and you can help me decide. All right. So even, you know, we all make mistakes sometimes with our creations, or, you know, I didn't have the right punch in here, but that's okay. We just make it work. Thank you for your patience. All right, so let me glue these together. I'm sure we've all done things like that before. I'm sure I can use the small one for something else, but didn't quite look right on this card. Okay, so we're going to put that on the front. And the other thing I'm trying to do is trying to finish the inside of the card when I make the card rather than do it later, because I'll go to give a card and I'll open it up and it's blank and I've got to get matching papers and stamp something. So going forward, I'm going to try and finish my cards on the inside too. So let me see if we put a bit of gold behind. We could do that. What do you think? That's the gold. Or if we have this behind, I think it might get a bit lost. Let's go for the gold. All right. There are a few of you watching, so feel free to give your input. So I'm going to put some tape on the back and then work out how much we need. Can you see what I'm doing? Sort of, and I always like to sort of do it on an angle. Scissors for ribbon, my red ones. Whoops, it's come off. We'll fix it in a second, like so. Oh, it's got a bit folded. Okay, I'm going to take it off. I'm going to bend it in half and then kind of put it on. There's no tape there. There we go. How's that? And then we'll sort of put it up there. How's that? Do you like that? So we're going to need some dimensionals to put that on with. And I'm going to use my bigger ones. Now, these should be easy to find because they're nice and bright. So 1, 2, 3. I try not to put it where the ribbon is, otherwise it kind of lifts it up. So we will do that and then use my take your pick tool to pull off like so. So this is a fairly quick, easy card in the sense of mainly stamping and a little bit of punches. I'm just going to move it over a little bit, although I don't want to hide the, can always angle those a little bit more. There we go. All right, and then add a bit of bling. So I could add some gold because I've put gold on it, but I went with the pecan pie, so we'll stick with that. These are kind of some, I don't know what they're called, I'll have a look in a second. Neutral dots or something like that. Not sure if they are still current or not. And let's do a little one down here. Kind of like to do sort of a triangle shape. What are they called? Neutral matte dots. Okay, so that is our sort of simple card with just stamping and punches. So there you go. Which one do you like? Did you like it with the pecan pie, or do you like it with the more subtle sea foam? Do you like this raised, or do you like it stamped on? And then we've gone for that sea foam on that one. So I guess this is quite prominent. This one gets is a little bit more subtle. So now what I want to show you. So hi, Helen, Jocelyn, Linda, thank you for joining us. Helen likes a light green. That's cool. Yeah, it's not quite so intense. I think the reason I did that color, you'll see on my next card, was because I kind of colored in some grass, and that's how I got the connection. But this one doesn't even have any green on it. So anyway, so a step up in between, so you can do the same layout, but want to add some texture. I have embossed the background. So I've still got my shape. This one does have some grass on it. That's where that granny apple green comes through. And I've added a bow and my embellishments and things. So you can stamp your background, or you can emboss your background. Now we're going to take it a step further, and I'm going to kind of have a little peeking window kind of effect. So let me show you that, and we will make the next one. So I did 2 cards so far. So I did this one first, and because of this, I used the yellow, which is Darling Duckling. And then this one here, I decided I'd try the green because of the green with the sort of grass and stuff. I wanted a contrasting color to the pecan pie. And I forgot to show you inside for this one. I've stamped that the same. This one, I've just done that. What did I do? And I forgot to stamp inside the other ones. When I did this one, I did just do that on the inside, so I should do that on that too. All right, so what I've got is the rabbit and the geese and the deer. So now I need to do the deer and the rabbit. All right, so let me show you how I did that. It's fairly easy, but there is just a particular order that is a good way of doing it. So you're going to need 2 pieces for the front and then 1 for the inside. Now, initially I made them exactly the same size, but if you went to stick it down and it was slightly off, then you might see it poking through, which I don't know if you could slightly on one. So what I'm going to do is ever so slightly just trim it down so it is slightly smaller. I have to put up with my arm. Not too much smaller, about sort of that's how much I'm taking off. Okay, so just a little bit. All right. So that's the bottom piece, and this is going to be the top piece. So I'm going to punch my holes. Now this is where, no, I want the 2-inch punch, don't I? Yes, the 2-inch punch. Yeah, because that's too small. So what I do is I come in from the top. Now I don't go all the way. I tried that, but it was just too far in. So I need to bring it back a bit, but obviously not too close to the edge or it will break off. So let's say about that much left on the side and about level at the top. Oops, I'm not holding it straight. Anyway, I can use this for something else. Then I'm going to come in on the other side from the bottom, keeping that kind of level, about the same distance again from the edge. So we want a bit of gap, but not too much, otherwise we can't kind of stick it on our card. So like so, here we go. You can save those for later. All right, I think on my first card I've actually done it slightly lower down and higher up because there's a bit more space in the middle. Okay, now I've just realized I don't have my machine with me. So what I need to do is I need to emboss this. So I'm going to reach over and emboss it. But before I do, we're going to do our stamping because then it's not so raised. So I'm going to put that on. I don't know if you can see, there is a light sort of edge. So let's do the rabbit at the top. That is fairly easy and straightforward. But the deer needs a little bit of help, and I would need my mat. Okay, so let's try and keep that together. So with my rabbit, I can fairly much stamp it easily. We're going to do our 2nd generation stamping again, stamping off. I'm not actually sure that was quite even. So, like so. Cool. I'm happy with that. Now, if you go to do the deer, you'll find that it goes slightly over the edge, and I don't want that. So I'm going to get a pencil, and I'm going to just mark where it is, then remove this, and then stamp it. But I don't want to stamp it in grey. I want to stamp it in pecan pie. So can you see where my circle is? And can you see all the stuff around the edge? So I don't want to rock it, otherwise it's going to go everywhere. So let's say about there. That's pretty good. Now we're going to stamp off like so, second generation stamping, and we get our lighter one. What I have then used is a Granny Apple Green blend, and I have coloured a bit of grass for it to sit on. So we could leave it plain, but I also need to rub out those bits, and I'm sure, yes, I've brought my eraser with me. So let's rub those out because we don't want pencil marks. Okay, so I wonder if we try, what do you think? Should we keep, not slightly angled, but anyway, should we keep it with or without the grass? You let me know what you think, and I'll decide if we colour it or not. The best thing is to colour it before we actually adhere it down. I see we've got some others joining us. Hi, Grace. Lovely to have you join. So I'm just going to grab my stamping cut and emboss machine, and we're going to emboss that top piece. So give me 1 second to bring that over. All right, thank you for your patience there. So I'm using the Forever Plaid, which I have used a lot. So I'm going to have to clear a bit of space. Now, often I will emboss something beforehand to save time, but with this you really need to punch out and stamp first before you emboss, otherwise there's just that much more texture and things there. All right, let me know if you're thinking we should add the grass or not. And I also kind of want to keep it up that way so I know that it's going to fit. So we're going to put that in. So this is a 3D embossing folder. So the slightly thicker ones. So I need to use my, what do you call it, specialty plate. And you can see it come out. So put the closed end in first. And we'll put that through. Grace likes the grass. Karen likes the grass. Sure, let's do the grass. Sorry, it shakes the table a bit. Okay, we can move that out the way. I feel it kind of, what's the word, plants it, you know, it's not floating. So let's add some grass. So I did try a dark Granny Apple Green, but it felt it was just a bit too dark. So let's just see how that fits. Like so. I'm going to use the thick end and just kind of do that. We can check it out, see how it looks. We'll do the same for our deer. So what's your favourite animals out of these? Obviously it's not spring here in New Zealand at this season, but you know, we're coming to that, so later on. So, you know, you can use it now, you can use it later. I'm going to just fill this in a bit more so there's no white showing. Go down a bit. Okay, how's that? Isn't that cute? So what do you reckon with the rabbit? Shall I colour the whole bit at the bottom or leave it like that? See how I've sort of coloured that? While you're deciding, I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So one of the other sentiments in that set was especially for you, and we kind of need something fairly small in here. So you could use that for, you know, a variety of things. So I'm going to use my pecan pie and not stamp it on there. I think it's small enough. We can probably do it on here. Let's find out. It's a little bit light at the top. Let's try again. Couple of chances here. This is just scrap anyway. That's a bit better. Although the PE seemed to be standing out a little bit more. Sometimes it takes a few attempts. Let's see if this... I don't have my mat underneath either. That's a little bit lighter on the U. This is what I did before. I took about 4 attempts until I got one I was happy with. Let's put it on the mat and see. That looks better. All right. Now I did angle the sides. All of it. Okay, so I'm seeing all of it. So we'll colour that grass in a bit more. Was that the right side? I think I flipped it over. What did I just do? I think I just started cutting the wrong one. Let me try one more time. That's better. Okay, we want this one. Okay. So before we put it together, we'll colour that grass a bit more. So we want to go wider a bit and then below. See if that's enough. Yeah, just a tiny bit here. Okay, so you will notice that the blends will come through on the other side, but that's okay. We're covering it all up. Does that look okay? And maybe just a fraction over here. Okay. If you didn't have a blend, you could use one of these blender pens like we used earlier, and maybe soft seaphone's a bit light, just, you know, another ink color, and color the bottom as well if you don't have the blend. That looks good. I like that. All right, so what we're going to do now is put dimensionals on the back of here. If you had foam adhesive strips, you could put strips around it as well, which would be quite good. They tend to be a little bit higher, so if you want it to be a bit higher, that would be the case. Now you can really see which ones of these I've taken the backs off or not taken the backs off. Now I'm going to put these kind of near the edges of the circle so it doesn't sag, and I'm going to use a couple of narrow ones, the mini ones, and put them either side as well. So I'm putting quite a few on, but I don't want this circle, punched out circle, to sag. If yours is a bit narrower here, you can just cut a narrow strip with that too. All right, then we want the fun part of lining it up. Hopefully with a bit of give, we should be fine. So I just think by adding the punched holes, it just adds a little bit more interest to the card. And of course, we've got the dimension of the embossing folder on the front. So if you need something quick and easy, you could do like the first card we did, step it up a little bit. You could do this. So you might have other small images, flowers or something else that you want to put in circles. You can do that. Right, let's have a look at that. Let's see how wonky. See, it is quite wonky, actually. But what I might do with my scissors is just ever so carefully trim it a little bit so it doesn't poke out, because it was very wonky. Is there a little bit still poking up there? We're not going to see the underside. So even with that wiggle room, I still didn't quite line it up. Don't want to cut the top one, that's for sure. Okay. As it's poking up the top as well, ever so slightly. Oh, dearie me. Pressure of being on a video live. There we go. So that looks fine now. It looks very messy on the back, but no one's going to see that. Okay. So what we need now is our card base, and then to decide what color to put it on. So I need your help. Okay, so some of my cards I had the yellow because we had a yellow animal, but I don't think that works for this one. I have got the green because the green comes through, but it's quite bright. We have got sea foam, which there is no sea foam on the card, but it's a little bit more subtle. Or, I haven't cut it up, but we've got the grey granite, which is the same, whoops, what am I doing? The same as the rabbit. So let me cut that and you can tell me what background colour you like. So I think we'll rule out the yellow because there's no yellow on the card. And we've got a choice of granny apple green, sea foam, or grey granite. So let's have a look and tell me what you think. So not that one. I've lost it. Here we go. So that's the grey granite. So that kind of, if we did this one, we've got the pecan pie here with this one, and then we've got the grey granite with the rabbit, which is quite cool. If we use sea foam, there's like no connection other than a lighter colour. Don't know how well you can see that. That's the sea foam, but more subtle, which could be fine. Or granny apple, which is very bright. I think too bright myself. Green. Which green, Karen? We've got two Karens. Karen, do you want granny apple or do you want the sea foam? More subtle or whatever. So while we're deciding, I'll go with the majority. Let's do our sentiment. Oh, we've done our sentiment, but we need to get it ready. But now I've done it. Here it is. So we could add some linen thread behind, like so. Or we could add some gold ribbon. So I think since we did gold ribbon on our other card, let's do that. So I'm going to put some tape on the back. Make sure I've got the right side. Apple green. Okay, you reckon apple green because it ties in with the grass. You're the only one to reply, so let's go with that. Unless quickly we have a majority of something else. So we will do the linen thread if I can find it. Yes, it's here. So we don't have to tiny bows with this. We're just going to wrap it around our... Oh, Grace says granny apple green too. So there we go. 2 for that. So I've just wound it around my fingers twice, chopped it off. Going to squeeze it together and then literally just put it behind like so. All right, and then I'll go on like that. So let's glue that all together with our granny green. Karen likes non-subtle. Fair enough. We are going non-subtle, but I've lost my glue. Here it is. Okay. So gluing it on our granny apple. So you can play around and try lots of different colour combinations and things. And now remember, we have to do the inside of our card now while we remember, otherwise I won't do it later. So let's do that. I think we need to move the top layer down a little bit. That'll have to do. All right. So I have another piece of green. Yes. For the inside. So let's just do a rabbit on the inside to tie it all together. So you get to see that 2-step stamping one more time. So we've got our grey granite rabbit and the Stampin' Off or second generation to make it a lighter colour inside. And I've done it slightly off. So I'm going to There we go. Okay, I'm not going to do any green on that one, I think. So let's put that on the inside and then finish it off with a sentiment and some, what do you call it? Embellishments. All right, there we go. So which do you like? Do you like it with the animals poking through the holes, or do you like the simple and just punching out our shapes and putting them on that? There we go. Inside done. Sentiment. Again, some dimensionals. We're just going to angle it a little bit more. So we'll put it about like so. Brilliant. I think I'll use some mini ones. 1, 2, and one in the middle, but not kind of over the thread. Otherwise, it'll probably pull it up. Pull those off. Oh yeah, lots of you like those colours. That's great to see. I do like granny apple green. It's a lovely green. Interestingly, I don't usually like greens, so I don't but Granny Apple Green is a nice green. Let's do it slightly more like so. There we go. So finishing it off with some bling. Now what I did was, when I did use the yellow, the Darling Duckling, I used the in colour embellishments for that one. But for this one, I've gone again with my neutral colours. And so we will use that on here. But I bury them. She says, you know, I had them because I did them on the first card. So here they are underneath all the cardstock. All right, so what did we do? So on this one we've done, so we go 1, 2, 3, because that's kind of where the space is. So let's go with that. All right, so this is such a fun stamp set. It is the product of the month for this month, for March. So if you put an order of 200, no, sorry, no, that's too much, 150 or more, you can get the stamp set for only $11, which is an amazing price for a stamp set. So you get it at a very discounted price. And I'm trying to find it to show it to you. Maybe I'll put it on the floor. Where is it gone? All right. So you've got your sentiments and your animals. So let me show you what we've made today, and then I'll show you a little bit from on stage. Okay, so keeping it simple with just stamps and punches, we started off with our stamped background, these ones here. Okay, different color circle. Which is your favorite of these? Do you like it with the soft seafoam border, the pecan pie one, or the Granny Apple Green? It's great to hear that some of you like it with the holes and things. That's cool. Then sort of the in-between is same design but with an embossed background. So we'll kind of add that into the mix as well. So still fairly simple. And of course, remember to stamp on the inside. And then taking it up a notch, we have our little circle windows, holes, whatever you want to call them. So we've got this. So then I've used the different 3 animals with the rabbits and the deer and the geese there as well. So different color backgrounds with the green. Obviously the yellow works well because they're yellow there. So that shows you today's cards. And yeah, if you like the product of the month, you can order it while stocks last until, here it is, it was under my trimmer. Here it is. And you've got the images of the animals and then some of the grasses and other bits and pieces as well. And then 3 useful sentiments, especially for you. A little note of thanks and happiest birthday wishes. Very cool. All right, so what I thought I would show you is some things from on stage. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this, but Karen likes the window cards. Yeah, so you could do those window cards with something else as well. Actually, before I switch the camera around, so just letting you know that this is our current mini catalogue at the moment. So we've still got a bit of time to go with this. We're March, April, and then in May, our new catalogue will be coming. So this is the new catalogue. This is what we got on stage. I'm not allowed to open it up and show you inside yet. I can show you some of the products from inside it, but we can't open up the catalogue yet. So you may notice this was the mini catalogue, which was this way. This isn't actually called an annual catalogue. It's going to be from May to August, but it's got not just the new products, but it's got the stamp and the inks and all that kind of thing in here as well. So rather than have 2 current catalogues like we do at the moment, there'll be 1 current catalogue at a time. And there'll be some product in this which will carry on for the year, and there'll also be online exclusives. But this is exciting. It was exciting to get our new catalogue. I can't even order them for you yet. In a week or so's time, I will order them. And then those that have purchased from me or my customers and things, I will be able to send them out. But not, yeah, still a few weeks away. And I can pre-order next week, which is one of the exciting things of being a demonstrator. All right, so and on stage is a demonstrator only event. It was held in Sydney, and there were about 600 demonstrators that went. We had staff from the Sydney Demonstrator Support Office that were there. Our two leaders, one Emma in New Zealand and Claire from Australia, were there, along with some of the staff from the American office. They come out as well, which is wonderful to see them and put it all together. So one of the things that we got was our, excuse me, have to reach down and get it. Every time we get a bag. So this is one of the in colours. This is Hydrangea Hue. And it's a cool bag. It's big enough to put 12 by 12 in it and zips up and things. And we even got a little badge because it is 20 years since Stamping Up have been in the South Pacific. So that's very cool. I was fortunate to go to Onstage Plus, which are for leaders for Silver Elite and above. So I've got a little purse, pencil case, whatever you want to call it, in the matching colours with a little key ring here as well. So that was very cool. So that kind of matches the two. So that was a perk for those in Onstage Plus. With it, we got notebook, pens. Already lost one of my pens because my daughter wanted them because she loves the Stamping Up pens. It's always good for taking notes and things. Excuse me, leaning to the side to try and find everything. We could purchase merchandise if we wanted as well. So I've got these little wee purses, coin purses and things that I was able to get. And there was some pen holders, which I'm going to find. Let me bring everything up. And I might change over to the other view in a minute. It's probably hard to see, but some pen holders. And I've got all these other things here to quickly show you. So I'm going to switch view so you can kind of see it a bit more easily. So let me just move these out the way. I have got one ink pad still open, this one, because it was very stiff. Oh, I can close it now, which won't be a problem soon when we get magnetic cases. So you might be wondering what other in colours. So these are the 26 to 28 in colours. So here is the Hydrangea Hue, which is the bag. We've got, what's this one? Barely Blush, so it is quite a light colour. Crisp Cantaloupe, which we have had before a long time ago. Golden Glow, Hydrangea Hue, and Peaceful Pine. So this is the stamping, and this is the second generation or stamping off. So you can see it dark and lighter. So that's one ink pad giving you the two different colours. And some exciting things with this new in colour is we're going to have some gel pens. So they will be coming too, which is really, really exciting. And I will be offering my in colour club. I need to look into all that. So here's some of the things that we got. So let me go. So in our pack, we have like a product experience pack with different things in it. So when we do different activities, we can stamp on some things and get to try some new things. So that was kind of all in there, and I'll share more about some of those things later. Couple of making, so we've got to make some cards and things. So this is some new paper coming that we got to color with blends. This is a new mask, so that's exciting. It's a 12 by 12. I didn't get to finish my card because I was helping in one of the other sessions, but I will put that together. We got given some ephemera, which I need to use on one of those as part of our pack as well. And then I got a prize. So actually, that might be the one that goes there. Anyway, so I think those two were my prize patrol. We've got a couple of stamp sets. So cool one for happy birthday to different family members. Sending salutations, a variety of stamps that you can put on the front and inside. We also got some embellishments, and I think this one was part of our evening class thing, but I can't remember exactly. And then the other thing was after hours on stage. So this was an optional class. You paid extra for it. So we got a stamp set and dies. Don't you love the fern? And then we got to make some cards, and I think that was part of it, but it's all got a bit mixed up. So I'll share some of those cards and things as well. And then the other exciting thing was Paper Pumpkin. So that is going to be coming to New Zealand in April. So we got to see it early. Usually it doesn't get sent this early. So it is a stamp set. So I'll quickly just show you. I think I can. And then more details on this later. So you get a stamp set, an ink spot, and then all the bits in there with some tape and things to make some cards. So that's a subscription. Yeah, so I'll share more about that later. Awesome. So I've kept you a bit longer today because I wanted to show you all the 2 cards and stuff from on stage. So hopefully you enjoyed all that. Can I change it back to me? So thank you for being here. Where are we? Trying to that one. There we go. Excellent. So thank you for joining. Thank you for your patience. And yeah, going to on stage was great. One of the great things about Demonstrator. So if you ever want to look at joining, being part of my team, either as a hobby or doing more, please get in touch with me. I'd love to have you join us too. All right, so thanks so much. And remember, if you're looking at that Notes of Spring stamp set when you next do your order, you can add it when your order is $150 or more. Just pay $11. All right, thank you so much. If you're not on my mailing list, I encourage you to subscribe. If you are watching on YouTube, please also subscribe to my channel so you know what is happening and coming up in the future too. So thanks for your time. I will see you again next week. Won't be quite so long, but I appreciate you joining me live and also the recording. Thanks so much. Bye.